What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my Friday Night SmackDown audio review for September 9, 2022. I am Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great weekend so far. And a very good episode of SmackDown on Friday. Dare I say, a great show from the Blue brand on Friday night. I thought they started strong. I thought they closed strong. And everything in the middle, while not must-see television, was good, if not just serving a purpose, and they were, consistently holding my attention throughout. And that's the very bare minimum I expect from a SmackDown in 2022 after all the awful shows we got earlier this year. But this was one of the better SmackDowns I've seen in a while, and I've said that about quite a few shows in recent weeks, but this might have been the best SmackDown I've seen. The Montreal show was great. This would either be on par with that, if not better. And I don't know. I thought Raw on Monday was fine. It was kind of a tame holiday show, not a great show by any means, but it was okay. But I thought this show was a vast improvement, starting strong, ending very well, everything else in the middle, not being amazingly exceptional, but serving a purpose and being, at least holding my attention and being enjoyable. I will note this, though, one thing that bothered me about the show starting from the beginning here, not just the opener that I loved, which we'll get to in a moment, but the commentary team. So we found out, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, that Pat McAfee, I think it was Wednesday, news broke, that he will not be part of the SmackDown commentary team, not forever, but just temporarily as he goes to do the college game day duties with ESPN, I believe. I saw a clip of it this morning that he was doing that. So it would have been a lot for him to fly from Friday to Saturday, from SmackDown to where college game day is and whatever. That would have been a lot. So, and I believe, and I'm not a big football guy, contrary to popular belief, I kid obviously, but I think the season for college football wraps up, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, in early December. I remember going to see college football games and shit in the first week of December, so that would make sense. So he's going to be gone for the next 3 months, and they need a temporary replacement on the show. I was hoping, and a lot of people were hoping, that replacement for that color commentary position would be tailor-made for someone like a Nigel fucking McGuinness or Wade Barrett. Now, Nigel McGuinness would have been perfect. He and Michael Cole called the NXT UK WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament back in 2017, 5+ years ago, over 5 years ago. I think Cole played a helping hand in getting Nigel to WWE and earning him a job in the company. And they had that great documentary on Nigel, and obviously Nigel was a mainstay on NXT commentary for a while. Then he went to 205 Live, NXT UK. NXT UK is no more. 205 Live is now Level Up, a fucking random half-an-hour show on Fridays from the PC. Not a great show by any means. It's a complete waste of Nigel McGuinness. Put someone else new in that spot, or have him do that and SmackDown for the time being. Now, I know it's a temporary spot, but it would be still cool to see the WWE Universe get acclimated and get familiar with Nigel's work, because he's great. Either him or Wade Barrett, that the WWE Universe, if they've been watching for more than 6 or 7 years, would know who he is, or even if they watch NXT, they're aware of who Wade Barrett is. So I was disappointed, and I like Corey Graves probably a lot more than most. I was disappointed to see him on the behind the booth this week, alongside Michael Cole. They did a good job, and they work well together. And I think they were the commentary team before Pat McAfee came in last year. It was actually Graves and Michael Cole calling SmackDown for probably the first year or two of it being on Fox. And they did a good job. I just think that, I don't know, I just feel like it would be a better use of Nigel in that spot for right now, or Wade Barrett, but, just one thing to note. Thankfully, though, we opened the show strong with an absolutely stellar 6-man tag team match. Imperium, all of Imperium, taking on the Brawling Brutes. Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci facing Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. This was not only a strong start to the show, but honestly probably one of my favorite matches on SmackDown in a very long time. And we've gotten some great matches on SmackDown, this year and in recent years and whatever. No more memorable than this one right here. Maybe I won't remember it a week from now, a month from now, but just knowing how I felt while watching this match, and not only just being excited for it, because I was hoping we would get this match coming out of Clash of the Castle last weekend, I was desperately hoping we would get it, not just wanting to see it, but we ended up getting it, and the in-ring action itself was exceptional. The match was excellent. All 6 guys playing their roles perfectly well. They got a ton of time to kick off the show. This was over probably closer to the half-an-hour mark, after SmackDown got started. So around 8:30 Eastern PM, this match had just wrapped up. And they got a ton of time. They made the most of it. That, down the stretch, they were super fucking hot for any time Sheamus and Gunther shared the ring. They went nuts for Sheamus here. You would think he was the biggest babyface on the roster. And I'm thinking, holy shit, that is cool. Gunther and Sheamus, we found out the other day, they were actually the recipients of one of Dave Meltzer's only 5-star match ratings in WWE's, I say recent, but like in the last 25 years. I think it was Shawn and Taker from Bad Blood 97, Stone Cold and Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13, CM Punk and John Cena from Money in the Bank 2011, Rollins and Cody from Hell in the Cell 2022, which is very random, I know. It was a great match, but the only 5-star match since 2011 seems a little strange, I know. Meltzer sure loves Cody Rhodes. And now Gunther and Sheamus from Clash of the Castle. So, well-deserved. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole star rating shit, and I find it hard to believe there's been no other 5-star matches in the last 11 years beyond those, but they were all great matches, obviously, and this was great as well. This was very, very fucking good. In the end, it was Imperium picking up the win clean over Holland with Kaiser and Vinci scoring their tag team finisher for the first time in many months since they were last the NXT Tag Team Champions over WrestleMania weekend earlier this year. So great to see Imperium back together. I forgot to mention as well, they came out to the original Imperium theme. That classic song that we all know that Gunther and Walter, when he was Walter anyway, used as his theme song for many years in WWE and on the independent scene and Imperium on the whole. And they brought it back here, at least the opening notes of that song before going into the Imperium song, which I think is fucking great. I don't know if they'll do it for all 3 of them or only for just 3 of them, or if they'll use it for Gunther as well. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Just hearing those notes made me freak out. I thought that was really fucking cool. So I absolutely love this match. I don't know if we're getting Gunther and Sheamus 2 anytime soon. You know, I was hoping they would wait for WrestleMania or next year's UK show if they even do one, which I really hope they fucking do coming off the success that was Clash of the Castle. But yeah, I would really love to see the rematch. I don't know if they do it anytime soon, but they could do it at Extreme Rules. I don't know how you build to that with Imperium winning clean at Clash, and then again here, Gunther winning clean last Saturday, and then Imperium winning clean here. I don't know how you really set that up. But it doesn't matter. Sheamus is very over right now. I hope they ride that wave of momentum and continue to get people behind him because he deserves that. I think he's been very underrated for a very long time. He's accomplished it all. He's had great matches in the last 2 years since the start of the pandemic, since coming back from his last layoff a few years ago. And he deserves his flowers. The guy's awesome. From there, we had the Bloodline in the ring. Solo Sikoa being welcomed into the Bloodline by Sami Zayn and the Usos. This was great stuff as well. Sammy is still with the group. And it was a question coming into the show, would he earn the blessing of Solo Sikoa? Now, Roman Reigns was not on the show. They tried to tell the story on commentary, or Michael Cole did anyway. Corey was defending the Bloodline. But Cole said, of course, Roman Reigns isn't here. He might be scared that Drew McIntyre might be coming for him after how he won on Saturday of last week. So that was the story they told. I don't know when Roman's going to be back. Word a couple of months ago was that he would not be defending at Clash, but obviously he did at Clash. Not at Extreme Rules. He will not be in Philly for Extreme Rules next month. So do not expect a Roman Reigns defense on that show. What else is new? But yeah, no, I thought this was good stuff, though. They did Drew and Solo on this show, coming off the attack here from Drew on the Bloodline. And the very small touch that I thought was very well done was when Drew's music hit, he came out with a fucking steel chair in his hand. He was pissed, like a bat right out of hell. We had the Usos and Sammy leave the ring, and Solo was still standing there waiting to take it from Drew. Now, Drew got the better of him initially because he had the chair, but Sammy took the bullet for Solo, which was great. So he earned Solo's respect. And part of me thought coming into the show, maybe they'll finally ditch Sammy from the group because they have Solo now. I'm glad they're not. I'm glad they're not doing that quite yet. Drag that shit out for as long as fucking possible. And I never really say that a lot about WWE stuff and even AEW stuff as well. But this is a pairing that fucking works. Solo with the Bloodline, or not just Solo, but Sammy with the Bloodline is hysterical. Wait to pull that trigger until closer to the Rumble or WrestleMania or whatever it might be, because a Mania match, I don't know if we can go another 6 months with the Usos as tag team champions, but a WrestleMania match pitting the Usos against Owens and Zayn would be incredible. And it doesn't have to end with Sammy and the Bloodline just because Solo's here. So the Bloodline is stronger than ever, and maybe Solo might have some singles gold aspirations, and now that the Usos are double champions and Roman Reigns is a double champion as well. So we'll see, but I thought this was well done to set up the night's main event. We had the apparent main roster call-up of Toxic Attraction on the show, of Gigi Dolan and JC Jane taking on the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. Decent match here, not really much in the match. It was just cool to see Toxic back on the show. because they were involved in the WWE Women's Tag Team title match, or not match, tournament, a few weeks ago. They beat Sonya and Natalya in the first round of the tourney, and then had to be eliminated immediately, automatically rather, due to an injury to Gigi. So they haven't been on SmackDown in a few weeks. Apparently the injury to Gigi was not serious, because she's been back in the ring now for a couple of weeks. She was in the ring on Tuesday's NXT, and then again here, obviously, showing no worse for the wear, so she appears to be fine, which is good. But yeah, no official word on whether they're slotted on SmackDown permanently. I would wait to call them up permanently until Mandy Rose has finished up her run as NXT Women's Champion. Now, if that means her losing to Nikita Lyons anytime soon for that championship, I'm all fucking out on that. No thanks. Nikita's just not good at all, in my opinion. But I would call them up all as an act and have Mandy with them and have Mandy in the ranks on SmackDown. To me, that makes sense. Maybe they just go to Raw instead. Who knows? But the match itself was fine. I think it was more of a takeaway that we have Toxic on the main roster now, and they deserve it. They've been one of those success stories from NXT 2.0. They work well together. They're a good team, and we need more female teams on Raw and SmackDown. So I like the move if that was the intention here. Speaking of the women's division, which remains a sore spot on SmackDown, we had Ronda Rousey winning a fatal 5-way elimination match to become the new number 1 contender to the SmackDown Women's Championship at Extreme Rules. So she knocked off Sonya, who got some shine here. Sonya lasted a while. She was the last one eliminated by Ronda. They worked well together. It was funny seeing them actually be competitive for about a minute or two. Not even. I mean, this match was less than 5 minutes long. It was an elimination match. What a joke. The focus was on Ronda. But it was funny seeing Sonya get some shine and the commentators playing up her MMA accolades. She's not nearly as decorated as Ronda Rousey, obviously. But it was funny hearing the commentators acknowledge that, as they should. But the funny part about that was the fact that Sonya was positioned as no one important. I mean, a couple of months ago when she faced Ronda one-on-one right before Mania, it was like a 2-minute squash. Sonya was given like almost no offense. She was positioned as a loser. So they've really, it seems like Triple H is more keen on focusing in on Sonya's MMA roots and bringing those to light now, which is great because Sonya's very good as well. But anyway, so the match was whatever. This was over within minutes. Lacey was back as well. That was notable. Back for the first time since July. I think the word initially was that she had a injury or that she was medically disqualified. Whatever the issue was, she's back. She was eliminated like she was just any other person. She continued the heel shtick. She came out to the same music, cut no promos, but a stark contrast to the last time that we saw her on SmackDown feuding with Aaliyah and talking shit to the crowd. She got no mic time here and was treated like an absolute loser. So it seems to me that Triple H is not really all that high on Lacey Evans' push. So she was eliminated. Xia Li was involved as well, and Natalya was the first one gone. So we're getting Ronda and Liv again at Extreme Rules for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Given the name of the pay-per-view, I would assume it will be an Extreme Rules match, or a submission match would make sense. And Liv was also watching from the skybox, by the way, during this match. I find it hard to believe, and I do not see a scenario where Liv Morgan leaves that show still the champion. And that doesn't really overly bother me. Ronda's been more interesting lately doing this whole tweener character. The crowd reacts to her as if she's a babyface. Internally, I believe she's supposed to be a heel. Either way, she's more interesting now than she was a couple of months ago. Her taking the belt and then teasing something with Shayna, who she confronted backstage on the show, I'm all for. I'm honestly in full favor of that, so we'll see where it goes. Hit Row and the Street Profits knocking off Maxima Male Models, Massey and Mansois, and Los Lotharios. This was fine, just more of a showcase for the SmackDown and, I guess, Raw tag team division, because the Profits are property of Raw. Why the fuck they were on the show, I have no idea. They've been teasing this match for a few weeks now. I'm glad they just got it out of the way. Profits can go back to Raw. Please enhance or actually enforce the brand split. I mean, please, Triple H, I beg of you. Either that or just do away with it. There's no point in having people from both brands swap shows so often. It's so fucking annoying. The match was fine. The crowd was into the baby faces. It kind of just served its purpose in giving the baby faces a win. Cool. The takeaway for me from this was what happened after the show. The clip they put up on their own YouTube channel, Did WWE, featuring Maxima Male Models reeling from their loss, saw Max Dupree, who was not wrestled since coming to the main roster, at least not on television. He mentioned kind of the losses they've endured lately and the string of bad luck they've had on SmackDown, which hasn't lasted all that long. They only debuted on the main roster like 2 months ago. They've had all of like 2 or 3 matches in that time against Hit Row and maybe one other team I don't remember, and obviously this match tonight as well. but he was kind of mentioning how they can get back on track, and sometimes, I forgot what the exact line was, but he mentioned about, if you can get through the day, you can get through and then he paused and then said night. And he dropped the enunciation in his voice that he's been using in the kind of the over-the-top talking, and he talks over the top anyway in his promos as LA Knight, but you can kind of hear the LA Knight coming out more in this promo he cut on the YouTube channel, and then he said, yeah, and then he walked away. And it was really cool to see because I want LA Knight back on the main roster. He fucking should be LA Knight. The guy's a star. I understand not making him LA Knight immediately because they already started the Maximum Male Model shit, which they shouldn't have, obviously, but that was a Vince idea. LA Knight is a Triple H guy. He hired him to NXT, got a big push in NXT. Fucking push him as LA Knight on SmackDown. They could use all the star power they can get. They got Braun Strowman on the show now, apparently. Karrion Kross is on the show. They've got Hit Row on the show now. Ronda Rousey's a regular again. And LA Knight coming in, I mean, that doesn't automatic. Solo Sikoa is another one. So, and Vinci. So they're really beefing up SmackDown, which is good to see. They need more star power on SmackDown. Not everyone I mention is probably your cup of tea. I get it. But more star power, more names, the better. That's really not a negative at all. Speaking of Strowman, he was on SmackDown this week, and per PW Insider, will be slotted as a babyface on the Blue brand going forward. So there you go. He made it sound like when we saw that clip on Raw this week that he was coming to SmackDown with a purpose and sending a message, but we had none of the sort here. He did not cut a promo. He merely interrupted another fucking Raw tag team in Alpha Academy, who I love, don't get me wrong, but I know they got attacked by Braun on Monday, but again, they're not SmackDown superstars. Why are they allowed here? That makes no sense. Let's please stop this brand split bullshit if we're not going to actually enforce it. But anyway, they got their asses handed to them by Braun. The crowd was into it. He said nothing. It was a very simple segment. I'm curious to see what they do with him off the bat. I have absolutely no fucking desire to see him take that Intercontinental title off of Gunther. If he takes that title off of Gunther and not Sheamus, I will be very upset. Because that is just absolute bullshit. I like Braun, I do. He's not my favorite by any means, and he is damaged goods to a certain extent as far as his booking goes. But the crowds are into him. He can work as a big man. We'll see where they go. I mean, I don't really have a desire to see him in Carrion anytime soon, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what he does, if anything of note off the bat, or if he's just going to continue beating people up. I don't know. But this segment served its purpose in getting him on the show and reestablishing him in his presence on the Blue brand. The main event saw Drew McIntyre take on Solo Sikoa, as I mentioned earlier. A good match. Didn't get a ton of time, but it was good. Had a sufficient amount of time. Before Karrion Kross interrupted, attacking Drew, and closed out the show by fading to black. Now, as soon as he started attacking Drew from behind, the crowd, or not the crowd, but the color of the screen went from normal to black and white. Now, honestly, I didn't have an issue with this. I kind of thought it was cool. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying it was stupid. I mean, listen, if you think it's dumb, I don't blame you. I totally get it. If they were to do away with that, I wouldn't be upset. The fading to black I thought was a nice touch, too. I thought that was cool. So we got confirmation that Karrion and Drew is the next program going forward, as it should be. I mean, he attacked Drew on SmackDown a month ago. It makes sense to do that feud. I don't know where the Bloodline goes from here, but I thought this was a good showing from Solo, and his first match on the main roster was a fucking main event on SmackDown with one of their biggest baby faces in the entire company. So I thought that was cool. He held his own. But yeah, you protect Drew, you protect Solo, you further the Karrion Drew stuff. I love it. So overall, I thought it was a very good SmackDown, as I mentioned. Toxic Attraction officially on the Blue brand, apparently. Braun Strowman officially on the Blue brand, apparently. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking mouthful. Say that 5 times fast. Drew McIntyre, Solo Sikoa, good main event. An absolutely outstanding opener. Nothing else on the show topped it, although I did think it was a good show. And some other stuff happened too. So if there's anything to check out from this show, and I hate to even say this because Solo was in the main event, but it is the opener. The opener was amazing. But overall, I would check out the full show. It was a very good SmackDown, if not a great show, and left me looking forward to next week. So 2 thumbs up, and I don't say this often. I haven't said this a lot about the Blue brand lately, but 2 thumbs up for SmackDown on Friday. A very good show. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and be sure to subscribe here to the channel for more videos every single day. We just surpassed 30,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys. More on that momentarily. I'll probably do a video at some point. Maybe I won't. Time permitting, we'll see. But anyway, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.